You are listening to the Tallest Kaiju podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Please welcome Samuel James Howard to today's episode, where we will be discussing 1933's classic King Kong. So, kicking things off here, what was your introduction to kaiju cinema, and how do you feel, if at all, that affected you as an artist in your work?
Well, my introduction to kaiju cinema it's really personal to me because I grew up watching Spenguli. I'm a Chicago boy, so me and my family, the way I got introduced to a lot of great movies was we would spend our Saturday nights watching Spenguli, and usually he would have like one of these big monster movies. It wasn't always like kaiju, but things like Godzilla, Rodan, them. I quickly associated watching those films with like spending time with my family. So naturally, that just kind of became, an important part of like my childhood. I guess in the ways it's affected my art is I've kind of studied up on, films like Godzilla, Rodan, and, Kong, which is what we're going to be talking about today, to kind of learn how they were doing things back in the day. Because, at the worst case scenario when it comes to making a film is you have nothing, and those guys were working miracles with nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, in particular, the three you mentioned, they were just, for the time, incredible works, incredible feats to pull off. And one that doesn't get enough appreciation, but I'm glad you mentioned it, is Rodan. I think that was 1956. But that one, you rewatch it and you're like, damn, this is it's still when kaiju were trying to be scary, right? Like the first Godzilla and everything. That's a pretty intense one too. And the way that they did it with all the shots in the air and everything with the planes, really, really incredible stuff with that.
Yeah, I mean, it really, like, for that specific genre, it was so competitive, and it's so clearly competitive when you rewatch a lot of those movies. Like, they really are trying to like outdo each other, but it's never from a place like, I'm just going to demolish you and shit all on your work. Like, that's exactly how cinema should be. Like, we're all trying to outdo each other. We're taking the best parts from each other's works, and we're just trying to make the best possible movie.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to, healthy competition, right? You hear a lot about healthy comp, and I think that you need that in any platform. I think it's always conducive to the creative process. And yeah, like you said, the more that they tried to one up each other, the better the projects we were getting, and the more insane they were.
Because a lot of it also came from, I guess, like their appreciation for each other too. So like, I'm not saying they were stealing from each other. They were literally taking little bits and pieces and improving upon that. It's like a good gumbo recipe.
Right.
A good film is when everything just comes together and when you're kind of improving upon what's already been improved upon before.
Yeah. I love that. Comparing it to a gumbo recipe is pretty accurate, I would say. But we are here for a specific kaiju flick. A classic, you may say.
It's technically not it's not even a kaiju flick. It's because it predated a lot of the Japanese monster movies, but it inspired it. King Kong, 1933. The original big monster smashing down buildings, all that good stuff. If I had to describe or summarize this movie in 2 sentences, it would be: a group of filmmakers go out to make a movie, and they cause millions of dollars in property damage, which is to be expected for making a movie.
Right.
But it's what I really like about Kong is Marion Cooper, when he wrote the film, had a very simple idea. Like, a lot of people think that movies back in the day, like, it was just writing and writing and writing. No, Marion Cooper just wanted to make a movie about a giant gorilla going ape shit on some buildings, man. He wrote the rest. He started off with the climax and then wrote the movie backwards, basically. I think that's why the movie is about, well, people making a movie, because that's kind of how it goes. But you have this you got this film team, and this director, he's planning on chartering out this boat called the Venture to go out to Skull Island. He kind of already he's heard the legends of Kong, this giant ape, giant creature who rules the island. And he comes across our main actress, Fay Ray, because his main actress kind of pulls out last minute, and Fay Ray is down on her luck, which is going to be a reoccurring theme throughout the movie. And he says, "Hey, you want to join me for the venture of a lifetime?" And, like an aspiring actress, she says, "Okay, sure." So they go out to Skull Island, and right away they encounter a remote tribe of native people to the island. And their first thought is, you know what? We're going to meddle with them. They have no. So this group of natives, they worship Kong like a god, and they sacrifice their women to appease him so that he doesn't, destroy them, doesn't kill them. He just kind of leaves them alone because he's the king of the island. Except when they come across Fay Ray's character, they kind of see her. They kind of see her as like a more valuable sacrifice than their own people. So they try to make a deal with the director. Hey, we'll give you 6 of our women if you give us Fay Ray. They know what they're working with. So the director says no. They go spend the night on the boat. Jack O'Driscoll, the first mate of the ship, confesses his love for Fay Ray after they've known each other for a day, because of course that's how it went back in the days for those movies.
Right.
And the natives kidnap Fay Ray's character to sacrifice her anyway. Oh, wow. I don't think they could take no for an answer. So Fay is now a sacrifice for Kong. Kong has an infatuation for her, and throughout the sequence of Skull Island is basically protecting her from all the various dinosaurs and monsters on the island, because Skull Island doesn't just have giant monkeys, it's got giant dinosaurs and snakes, all sorts of giant monsters. I think my favorite, it even led to my favorite part of the movie, which was him suplexing a T-Rex. But basically, he's just trying to keep Fay Ray alive. The film crew is fighting off the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs are killing a lot of the film crew. The survivors at the end are trying to get Fay Ray. They get her. They start evacuating the island. Director has a great idea. Hey, this giant monkey, this ape wonder of the world, I want that. I'm going to take that back home with me. They take Kong. I don't know how they've managed to do this. I don't know if they really explain the process of transporting King Kong back to New York City, but I don't think they had to. I don't think that's important.
Did it just cut? I don't remember. Do we get anything with Kong in the boat, or does it just kind of cut at that point?
That sequence it goes so fast. I was just rewatching it last night. All I remember is the director, God knows how he has his hand on these gas grenades or whatnot. He throws a grenade at King Kong. He stuns him. And then after that, we are back in New York City at this big Oscars ceremony where they have King Kong all tied up. Yeah. I think they even say chrome steel is what's holding him. And I'm just oh, that doesn't sound very durable.
Right. Especially for someone like King Kong.
Mm-hmm. And they're showing off the eighth wonder of the world. They decide to bring the press in, right there on stage, so that they can get the first pictures of King Kong. And sure enough, flash photography and giant gorillas, it does not go well. Mm-mm. So he breaks out of his chains and he starts destroying the city. Fay Ray and Jack Driscoll, the first mate, who at this point are now they're engaged. I think I missed that part too. Like he confesses his love to her on the boat. And after they kidnap King Kong, I guess through that they get engaged and they're going to be married like the day after they show off Kong.
Yeah.
Look, this is in the 30s. This is back when writing, you could write a film backwards and
Right.
get away with it.
And who knows, maybe in the 30s people just moved fast in their relationships. Maybe it was common for that.
You just meet a girl and then, you say, I love you. We're married.
Yep. Boom.
I don't know. It still feels a little old timey even for the 30s. I mean, they were in a depression after all.
Right.
But King Kong starts destroying the city. Fay Ray and Jack, they go to this hotel room, and Jack is just trying to say, hey, it's going to be okay. She's like, oh, it's a nightmare. Got her hand over her eyes, doing the classical, oh, I'm fainting. And then King Kong busts through the window. This is personally the funniest part of the movie to me, because while she's talking about what a nightmare looks like, King Kong, the big puppet, is like right outside the window looking in, and they're completely unaware. And then his hand goes through the window and grabs Fay Ray, and she starts freaking out. The little trivia: she is actually not acting in that scene when she's actually like the hand to King Kong, because they made the hand was like this big prosthetic that was supposed to hold her on a crane. So it was actually holding her up in the air. They didn't have safety harnesses or anything. It was just the fingers holding her in. So while she was struggling in that hand, she was actually loosening it.
Oh shit.
She had to get Marion Cooper to like cut it because she was getting close to falling out with her hand. Once again, back in the day, they did things a little differently, a little more dangerous.
Yeah, not as safe. Definitely not as safe back then.
Definitely not as safe. But hey, her performance was good because it was real.
Right. Silver lining.
Yeah, silver linings, people. Silver linings. Now that Kong has taken Fay Ray, he's climbing the top of the Empire State Building, and they call in 2 biplanes with machine guns to try to kill Kong without killing Fay Ray. They're still trying to save her, so they're just trying to kill Kong at this point. This was back in the day where you could fly a plane that close to a tower without getting in trouble in America.
Yep.
But Kong's able to like swipe one of the planes. They wound him. He's still swiping. They eventually kill him. He falls off the tower. He dies. Faye, she's reunited with Jack, and then I think it was the director in the movie. He makes the famous quote, "'Twas beauty that killed the beast." And I hate that line. I hate it so much. It does not fit the theme of the movie.
Yeah.
Leave it to a bunch of men to blame the woman for being a victim.
Yeah, and it's the director's fault that he died.
It is.
He wouldn't have died if they didn't bring him back to New York or whatever.
I don't know what he was thinking. I don't even know how he transported King Kong back to New York, but if they didn't take King Kong from his natural habitat and they didn't unleash the press on him, he probably would still be, alive, wrestling dinosaurs and shit. Like,
yeah.
What do you mean 'twas beauty that killed the beast? No, a better line would have been, nature endures, yet man disrupts.
Yeah.
I wish that, but, I can't fault them on that line because Marion Cooper, he was doing everything backwards. He just wanted a big monkey destroying buildings. It was all meat, no bread.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure that's how a lot of filmmaking went, at least a chunk of it back then, especially. Because the process was definitely different.
Yeah.
And I just think I think it's so funny though, to put it in that context where he says that line. I want someone to look at him and be like, bro, it's your fault. Like, this is literally your fault. What do you mean 'twas beauty? No. 'Twas you, dude. It was you.
'Twas you.
Yeah.
I kind of wish there would be a revised version where he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that wasn't smart.
Yeah, like
I should have let that idea. I should have let the idea cook a little more.
Yeah, absolutely.
It sounds like I'm riffing on the movie, but no, this movie was great. All the best movies are movies that you can riff on a little bit.
Oh,
And this
absolutely.
movie, I think like part of the reason like why I like this so much is I'm able to laugh at it at those little moments, but appreciate what those moments did. Obviously, like this isn't one of my favorite movies of all time. This isn't even my top 20. But without this movie, many of my favorite movies would not exist. The way this pioneered stop motion animation and rear projection alone, this was basically like the Avengers Endgame at the time when it came out.
Yeah, and because of that, to even put that into context, it amassed $90,000 in its opening weekend, and if you
Which does
put that for today, that's $2 million, right, for an
Yeah,
opening weekend.
like it doesn't sound like much, but like that was crazy. And the budget for the film was even more nuts. I think it was something between 450 to $550,000 for them just to make the film, and then the final budget of this was like $670,000, which
Wow,
would have been close to like $17 million today.
that's insane.
Uh, I hope like all our filmmaker friends understand like this movie didn't even make close. Like it made a fraction, but it didn't make close to like its money back on its premiere. And its premiere was the biggest premiere of all time when it happened.
And in the
Like,
middle of the Depression too.
yeah,
People were coming out in the middle of the Depression to watch this movie, and this is like
yeah.
the first. I think they say it's like the first blockbuster or whatever, first
This,
popcorn flick.
this was the first blockbuster. Yeah, like $90,000. Obviously, doesn't sound like a lot, but in the middle of depression, this was the biggest box office premiere ever at the time.
Yep.
There was nothing else they could compare it to because this was the top.
Yeah.
Actually, this was also one of the first movies to get a re-release. I think they re-released this like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, it got it's like Avatar, right? Avatar
Yeah.
2009. That got a bunch of re-releases. But it by now it's definitely made its money back for sure on that budget.
Yeah, I want to say it made $2 million by its second or third re-release in the 50s when a lot of those kaiju movies were starting to premiere too. So, it was definitely a well endured investment.
Yeah, 100%. Sorry, my camera went away. I could still hear you and talk though, but
Okay, for
I'm trying
sure.
to figure this out. But while I'm looking at this, in a weird coincidence or not a coincidence at all, the 2013 book Abominable Science by Donald Prothero and Daniel Loxton, they posit that when this was released in the UK, it directly led to supposed sightings of the Loch Ness Monster. So when you see
Oh,
pictures coming
wow.
out and all that, it was all around the same time that this movie was released in the UK. And there's a sequence in this with, I think it was like a what do you call it, a Brontosaurus or whatever in the water.
Yeah.
And when you see those two pictures side by side, it's like, okay, I could see why that in the movie could inspire somebody to be like, well, I kind of want my own version of that. I'm going to create this thing over, in Scotland or wherever it was. But that's something that until recently reading into this movie, I had no idea that there was a through line between King Kong and the Loch Ness Monster.
I mean, I honestly can believe it. The timeline does add up, and that like original photo of the Loch Ness monster, like it seems man made. Like if you look at it now, it's like, oh, okay, someone sculpted that, and then they took a picture presenting it as real. You know, I can see someone making like their own little prop inspired by the Lost World or what they saw in King Kong with the dinosaurs, and totally doing something like that. I still have hope the Loch Ness Monster is real, though.
Yeah.
He owes me, he owes me 350.
Oh, South Park. And you talked about it costing so much money to make. It was in production for 55 weeks.
Yeah,
Which that's a long time. That's over a year.
yeah. I mean, for now, like especially nowadays where everything is just go, 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 and it's fast, and you're expected to wrap everything fast, like very, very long time. And it's so weird because they saved a lot of time and money on their locations. Like they reuse the same set for the most dangerous game for like a lot of the Skull Island scenes. So they really did spend a lot of time like just getting the stop motion to look right and just pioneering, I guess, the other stuff they were doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And on top of that, it's, and I think you mentioned it about the gorilla. I think Marion C. Cooper had a dream about a gorilla, and that's what inspired him to write this story.
Yeah.
But another inspiration was inspired by W. Douglas Burden, who brought the world's first captive Komodo dragons to the Bronx Zoo in 1926.
Oh, yeah. I remember I was reading about that a few years ago.
Yeah, and
And
he was intrigued about how the once mythic massive predators quickly perished once caged and displayed for the public, which I
yeah.
think is also that's really good perspective to have, especially back then when you think about captivity for these creatures and how that, you know, how ultimately that does a huge disservice to the
Oh,
species.
yeah. No, absolutely. And that's why I really like, despite the riffing on the characters in the movie, I really like how King Kong ends because, when you hold an animal in captivity that is clearly not meant to be held in captivity and it dies, you should feel sorry. You should feel bad. You should be like, oh, this is a tragedy. And although like they had that one line where they say it was beauty that killed the beast, the way Marion Coop played the ending was still sympathetic towards Kong. Like he made that seem like a death that should not have happened.
Right, absolutely, and I think that's why ultimately, you know, at its core, it's a beautiful story and
Mhm.
a very potent story as well. And another interesting thing here is Tomoyuki Tanaka stated that he felt like doing something big. That was their motivation. I thought of different ideas. I like monster movies, and I was influenced by King Kong. And if you know who Tomoyuki Tanaka is, that's one of the creators of Godzilla. So there is that direct connection between, I mean, my favorite kaiju of all time, got
Yeah.
the big G, but there's that straight connection to 1933's King Kong.
Yeah. King Kong paved the way for a lot of different movies to be made. And, with Godzilla's, the two major things that influenced Godzilla, from what I understand, it was Hiroshima, the atomic bombs, because Godzilla was supposed to be kind of a symbol of that, like a metaphor. And the practicality of bringing that vision to life came from King Kong because they already established that proof of concept.
Right. Right. And I think that, you know, just having that there, especially as it pertains to King Kong, it's just there's a reason that even nowadays with the MonsterVerse and these newer movies, you're bringing them together
Oh
because
yeah,
there is a synergy between them. I think
yeah.
that
You can't think of Godzilla without thinking of King Kong, and same with King Kong. Like those collaboration movies they made, King Kong versus Godzilla, like those those were the big crossovers. Those were the big mega blockbuster events that you were selling. That was way before superhero movies. Before we had all these big superhero franchises, we had King Kong, we had Godzilla, and we had all the other monsters coming together in one big ensemble.
yep, yep. And you know, I think that most big, especially like sci-fi fantasy franchises, they owe a lot to these flicks. They really do because it
Hmm.
was like you said, it was those big moments, those big cinematic events that you wouldn't see again until, you know, modern day with contemporary cinema, with, you know,
Hmm.
the Marvel movies, Monsterverse, and all that.
Oh wow! Any movie that uses CGI nowadays does owe its success to King Kong. I've mentioned rear projection a few times, but rear projection paved the way for how we would use CGI today. If we didn't innovate that at the time, that would have held like we're talking Star Wars would not have been made. We're talking so many big blockbusters, big influential films.
Yeah, and it's incredible. I mean, you watch it now and it looks goofy to some extent, especially, things like stop motion, but
Oh
for
yeah,
the
I mean
time it's amazing like how we feel
it.
about really well done CGI. That's how
Yeah,
audiences felt seeing, these stop motion creatures and everything like that.
I agree with that 100%. Like, because what used to be the pinnacle of like CGI, in the 90s, if you ever watch any 90s movie like Scooby Doo Monsters Island, or the first practical, not practical, but the first actual commercial use of CGI, it's by nowadays standards, we laugh at it. But at the time, it's like, what's going on here? What is this?
And it's funny you brought up the 90s because there was this movie that was started in the 90s and it wasn't finished until a couple years ago, and it's called The Primevals. It's directed by David Allen, and David Allen was also, a big person about stop motion, and he
Mhm.
was working on this thing in the 90s and he died in 99. But he had filmed the live action scenes and most of the stop motion in 1994. But then obviously in 99 he died of cancer. But he was close with Charles Band, who's the guy who did Puppet Master. He's the owner of Full Moon
Mhm.
Features and all those movies.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm very familiar with Full Moon Pictures. I love those movies.
yeah, they're very charming in their own right, right?
Evil Bong versus the Gingerbread Man is
Yeah,
one of my second favorite crop. Another movie that would not be possible if not for King Kong.
right. Yeah, full circle, right?
Full
Um,
circle.
but the cool thing about David Allen was, a big thing he loved doing was the stop motion animation. And if you
Hmm.
ever see the Primevals, which I definitely recommend it, it's funny because it's slated as a 2023 movie, but that shit was like mostly filmed back in the 90s,
Yeah.
and it's so fascinating just to see in a more contemporary setting, like watching it nowadays. This film that focused a lot on doing more of that stop motion animation, like it has lizard people and shit, and they're all stop motion, and it's cool and it's charming, and it's just, it's somebody who I think at their core appreciated that old school way of doing things, like in King
Yeah.
Kong, and what was it, The Lost World, that was in the
The Lost
20s, right?
World, yeah, that was 1925. I kind of see like before King Kong became like so synergized with Godzilla, like what you were saying, like I always thought of, the original King Kong movie as something that was more like close knit with the Lost World, especially with the dinosaurs on Skull
Oh yeah,
Island.
100%.
Um, but stop motion animation, I think that was probably the biggest thing King Kong contributed to the industry, aside from normalizing re-releases. Because how many movies have been re-released at this point? Not to quote my non-official cousin Todd Howard, but it just works.
Right.
Stop stop motion is still used today. It is still an effective way to get a practical special effect that just seems jarring and unreal. And, you know, anyone who practices stop motion animation, tip your hat to King Kong.
Yeah,
They were doing it, and they were doing it big.
absolutely. And also in 2023 was the horror movie called Stop Motion by Robert Morgan,
Oh yeah.
which was about a stop motion animator and starts to lose control of reality. And there's some really compelling horror elements that are done via stop motion animation. So We could talk for literally make a podcast about King Kong specifically, with how much that influence and how deep that influence is.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, there's a reason why as a franchise that's still like one of the biggest blockbuster franchises. You will still pack seats for a King Kong movie.
Yep, and it's been remade a few times, and even going through this film again recently, Peter Jackson kind of nailed it as a remake. He hit
Yeah.
everything. And I still rewatch Peter Jackson's version, and I really love it. I think that it's honestly, outside of the Lord of the Rings movies, this is like his second masterpiece that he did. Because I really love it, and it's long, but I think it needs to be.
Was it a better masterpiece than Dead Alive though?
I mean, yeah, sorry. I think so,
Ah,
but I completely understand those who still consider Dead Alive being the bigger masterpiece. No issues with that.
well, to be fair, that movie is disgusting.
Yeah.
That's why I like it.
Yeah, and I love how he goes from that to Lord of the Rings. I think
Yeah.
that's such a funny trajectory for a filmmaker. But yeah,
I
no, his King Kong was incredible, and he had just as much goodies with special features with this that he did with his Lord of the Rings films.
yeah.
All the
I
behind
always,
the scenes
you
stuff.
know, I always appreciate any film he comes out with because he's one of those directors where you can tell he doesn't care if he makes any money off of it. He just likes the art of making movies and trying to make them as big as possible. You give him a shoestring budget, he'll still make it work. That guy is a go-getter when it comes to filmmaking.
Yeah, and I wish he did more. Even though I
Yeah.
didn't like, I think I liked one out of the three Hobbit movies. I do want him to come back to filmmaking. Definitely could use him.
Yeah. I agree. We can definitely use some more visionaries right now. More.
Absolutely. I'm back. Hey, I'm
Hey,
back.
there we go. Hello.
Woo.
Hey, handsome.
All right, cool. Hopefully it sticks, but yeah, no, King Kong 1933, incredible movie. But to kind of switch gears a little bit, let's talk about you. I know that you just wrapped a project. I
Oh,
would love
yeah.
to,
I just
yeah.
wrapped Night Terror.
What's that one
So for
about?
um so just in case anyone is unfamiliar with me, which they probably should be. I only got like 300 followers on Instagram. I'm an actor. I work on movies. I like talking about movies. I like making movies sometimes. I just wrapped a feature-length found-footage horror movie called Night Terror. I want to be careful with the details. I do not want to spoil it because I think the story is the best thing going for it. It is a really fun one. But basically, there's a woman who is dealing with a really extreme case of sleep paralysis. My character and my girlfriend in the film, my girlfriend is trying to be a psychology major. She is wanting to do a documentary specifically on sleep paralysis because it was something her uncle went through and it's very personal to her. So she doesn't see this as like an opportunity to be famous or even to excel academically. She just sees this as an opportunity to apply what she's been learning to kind of help this poor woman out because this woman is now moved back in with her sister and her night terrors are getting worse. So it's kind of up to us to document what she's going through. And what we encounter is, well, let's just say it's a little terrifying.
Right.
If I had to describe it to, any other movie that exists, it's kind of like The Taking of Deborah Logan, but there's a bit of a twist. And I think that's all I can say about the story.
Yeah.
Um, I can talk about a lot of the behind the scenes though, because we were staying for our Airbnb at an actual haunted house.
Where was this at?
The Airbnb was at the Wonder of Watsika, or Watsika, sorry, I learned that's how you pronounce it. Um, it was one of the first houses in America to host an actual exorcism. So while
Nice.
we were like, we already had ghost hunting equipment that we were using in the movie. So while we were kind of there at the Airbnb, just kind of dicking around, like some of us were actually ghost hunting. I had one weird bit where I went down in the basement where allegedly that's where the most activity happens. And right as I get off that last step, the EMF detector, the electromagnetic frequency detector, goes like dead red and just keeps going off. Like it goes back to green and then keeps going off. Now, see, I like a normal person should have just run up the stairs. Me, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna hang out down here for 10 minutes. I'm just gonna wave this thing around. It could have been unshielded wires, to be fair. I am a skeptic. I don't believe necessarily that I was surrounded by ghosts, but at the same time, like it was a creepy old house.
Yeah, and I was just going to ask you too if you were a skeptic or if you believed in ghosts, because I'm definitely more of a skeptic too. But I'm
I think I'm
fascinated by the
I
idea.
think I'm like open minded. I, I don't have a traditional fear of ghosts. I see ghosts as something that intrigues me. So if I were to see evidence of something paranormal, I think what I would do is I would just run towards that. I would be so annoying into trying to get answers that I would literally throw myself into danger. And that's kind of what I like, after that EMF went off, I spent like 10 minutes just dicking around on my phone and on the EMF, trying to see like what hot spots were going to go off. I can't, it was a little too inconsistent. I can't explain how inconsistent the EMF readings were for like that specific incident because I tried to replicate the experience of a different EMF detector the second shooting weekend. I can't even talk. I'm making up languages here.
Yeah.
And it just didn't go off, period, at the same spot where it did from the last time. So I'm assuming either that EMF detector was just simply defective, which I don't think is the case because it was working completely as intended throughout that weekend, or I don't know, I may have had an encounter with something paranormal.
Yeah.
I think it was probably unshielded wires though.
Yeah, usually, especially when you're dealing with something like the electric, I can't even talk now. I blame you.
It's
Uh,
contagious.
the magnetic spectrum, even when you take that into consideration, there are so many things that could interfere with it.
So
So,
there was one thing where it consistently went off. It was one of our cast members, Marley. For whatever reason, it kept going off red on her and her alone. The director at one point was trying to like ask, like, "Hey, do you have any piercings or anything that could?" And she's like, "No."
right.
Naturally so.
Or like
Uh,
any sort of technology, even like some people have insulin pumps, like if
no,
they're
she didn't.
diabetic, and you know, there's some people have pacemakers. Obviously, that's the older crowd, but
She didn't have a pacemaker. Her phone, she put it off to the side at one point while they were kind of messing with her. We don't have an explanation for why she kept setting it off, though, as often as it was going off on her.
interesting.
It was just super weird. Yeah. Like every time I would point at her, ding, 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 it's red.
You know what I'm
So
curious to know is when did at what point was there that correlation between like electromagnetic frequencies and ghosts? Like when was that connection made? You know what I mean? Like at what point are they like, okay, there are ghosts around here. I've got this thing. Well, this is going to tell me if something's there. Like how I wonder what
I'm
the
I'm honestly curious myself because I remember even in the early seasons of like Ghost Hunters, what the TAPS team, they were still using EMF detectors. Um, I don't think it was the Warrens who were using EMF detectors. I think
old
they were
school.
more. Yeah, definitely more conservative about ghost hunting. They were like old school, like spiritualists. Um, Honestly, I think it's a lot of those, small time, your small town paranormal hunting groups and whatnot that kind of started to innovate stuff like that. There's a lot of people, I guess, in that niche, uh, who really do care. Like they really are passionate about investigating the paranormal and forces unseen, and they really do a lot to, kind of like us as filmmakers,
Right.
set the standard forward.
Yeah. And I'm interested to see how this movie goes because I'm guessing that, ghost hunting's an element of it, right? It's found footage, but you guys are using these EMF readers and shit. Is that what it is, or did you bring it just for the crew to investigate while you were while you were
At,
camping out
at
there?
some point, we do have to use ghost hunting equipment in the actual film. Um, I don't want to spoil, I don't want to spoil anything or how anything progresses, but there is a reason why we would have to use an EMF detector in the actual movie.
Okay,
Whether
good to know.
whether that's anybody else, whether that's my character, it's it just happens. It just works. I'm excited to show people that movie though.
Is there an
I
expected release or anything, or since you just wrapped? I mean, it's probably got to go through post, and you gotta.
it's going through post. Post is probably going to be a hot minute. I don't have any information from the director or the AD on when release could be expected. Just this is me, by the way. So if I'm wrong, you guys call me out on this. From my experience of working on feature lengths and working on, I guess, similar projects, I think we're probably expecting to see this at some point 2027.
Okay, yeah, I think that's fair, especially for a feature like you said. I think that you
Mm-hmm.
you want to give it some time, and once you do get it done, I mean, there's potential festival runs. There's a lot of fun
Yeah,
genre festivals, so
that's mostly what I'm thinking. I'm not sure if they're going to want to do a festival run. There is going to be a lot of stuff they're doing in post, because it's found footage.
right.
For you to get certain effects, you're going to have to edit that in post. Um, I also don't know if they're going to have any reshoots or anything like that. So you want to kind of maybe pad some time just in case there is a reshoot. I don't think at this point there's going to be anything like that, but hey, you never know. It's a film industry. The impossible is made possible every day.
Absolutely. And what state was this again?
This was here in Illinois. Watsy, when I say Watsy, it sounds like we're shooting like all the way up north in Wisconsin, but this was just
Right.
central Illinois. It wasn't too bad. Everyone was coming from like completely different areas though. That was the fun thing. Like I got to meet like Paul, he came from North Carolina.
Wow.
Marley was from Michigan. Hunter is from Michigan. Same with his wife. Um, like we were all coming from like different directions, and it was kind of fun. Like it was fun getting to know everybody and talk to everybody because they're
Yeah.
very, very unique individuals.
Yeah, and I think that, that's really cool because especially as you've probably noticed working with the local film community, you kind of, it's not that you're always working with the same people, but you're working with people that you know and you've probably met before. Whereas a project like that, I mean, if they're bringing in people from other states, it kind of opens that up a little bit.
Oh yeah, I had a lot of fun working on Night Terror just because I got to network with a lot of really impressive people. Like they had when I say like they're interesting, I mean it. Like I don't think I've worked on a film set with people coming from like such far distances before.
Right.
Everything's been pretty condensed and localized in like the Western Illinois, Northern Illinois, Chicago land market for me.
Right.
So
So
it's kind of
that's
it's kind
cool.
of nice to get that like different perspectives on like different I guess like different film scenes. I
Absolutely.
like I know more like I now know a decent amount about like the Central Illinois film scene and the Michigan film scene because of this, and yeah, I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, and I mean it's all the Midwest, and you know you might be driving hours to get to
Hmm.
something, but it's still it's nice to have it so close. And when we're in the
Yeah,
Midwest, we're so far away from like I know New York is getting bigger with their film scene, and I know Atlanta is pretty big, and LA is LA, you
I
know.
feel like Chicago, we're starting to build. We're becoming one of the big dogs when it
Yeah.
comes to the film scene. I have full faith in my city. I have full faith in my local industry. Like we're making the right moves. The filmmakers out here are doing things, and I pay attention. Like I watch, like when I go to those local festivals and I see those movies that people think, oh, this is not going to be seen by anyone. This might get 100 views on YouTube. No, I see it. I recognize the talent,
Hmm.
and I think it's beautiful what we built out here.
Yeah.
I think our drama scene in particular for Chicago, like we have some of the best dramatic actors in the country, and I feel nothing but pride when I say that.
Yeah, and I love that, and I also love the film community, and one of my favorite things too is to just watch what other people are making because I just think it's so fascinating. But something that I've heard about, especially recently, and I want to get more into is the theater scene.
Hmm.
I do want to be able to celebrate performers more and go out and see and support. So that's something moving forward that I'm trying to do better at is catching live theater in the city.
Yeah, and there's definitely a lot of great, our theater scene is pretty good. There's a lot of great people I've been meeting in the theater scene. I know Drunk Shakespeare has been doing some shows down here in Chicago. Um, And I actually almost had the chance to audition for that. I'm actually kind of mad that I didn't.
That would have been great, right?
Dude, that would have been great, man. Just take a few shots and do Shakespeare. I do
What
that for free
Shakespeare,
anyway.
right? What would you want to do? What Shakespeare would you want to perform drunk?
Um, I'd like to do Romeo and Juliet, and I'd like to do the role of Mercutio.
Oh, nice.
I just feel like that feels natural.
Yeah, will that into existence.
I
You'll
will.
get a chance eventually. Maybe not through drunk Shakespeare, but maybe you could get a couple buddies together and just do drunken Shakespeare, the teeny
Oh no,
version.
no! I want to do drunk Hitch. I want to do drunk Hitchcock.
Oh, that. Oh,
We'll
yeah,
we'll make it. We'll make the birds, except we'll take a shot every time one of them caws or something.
yeah.
I don't
There
know.
you
We'll
go.
find a way to make it work.
Yeah, drunk Hitchcock would be really funny.
Or American Psycho, but instead of a knife in the shower scene, it's just a bottle of Malort, and
Oh,
I'm getting
yeah.
some person out of town to try a shot.
Yeah. Is that so? Is that like a Chicago thing? Like, does Malort
Malort,
not
yeah, it's
exist
made.
elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, it exists other places, but Malort is just kind of a Chicago. It's kind of a Chicago
Yeah.
thing. It's made in Illinois. It's like a sunflower liqueur. It tastes like gasoline,
No, it's
so
terrible. I
it's
fucking hate
horrible.
it.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Do you know what a Chicago handshake is?
No.
It's a shot of Malort in an old style.
Interesting.
Because
I
you
like
want to
the
get,
name. That's a very nice name for it.
well, because, like you got old style, which is like a 5 out of 10 beer. It's my go to, by the way. It's like my go to at any after hours. But then you got Malort, which is a 0 out of 10. So you get like a 2 out of 10 introduction, which I feel like is a proper Chicago handshake.
Yeah, and it's better than zero, right?
Yeah, it's better
You
than
bring
zero.
it up a little bit.
Well, I would describe that as Chicago hospitality. It's better than zero, but
It's
it's going
not
to be
great.
pretty cold.
Yeah, yeah. Figuratively and literally cold.
Oh yeah, it's going to be literally cold. This has been the worst winter.
Yeah, I love that. What else? Do you have anything coming out soon? Or is
Uh,
everything kind of in post production for you right now with your projects?
a lot of things are in post and pre-production. A mutual of ours, Jonathan Mueller, just kind of gave us an update on a role that I got booked to do for him a few years ago. So a few years ago, I auditioned for Welcome to the Game 2, which was supposed to be a movie. Uh,
Scrutinized, right? It's called
Scrutinized,
scrutinized, yeah.
yeah. It's been for like 4 or 5 years since I got
Damn.
booked for that role, man. Yeah. Um, it is now going to be a TV show. It's going to be episodic. And honestly, the way Jonathan's kind of planned it out, I'm really excited. He picked a really good time to start production. If all things go well, we're going to be starting production this fall on that finally. And like I said about timing, like right now we're getting a lot of video game adaptations, and that's based on the Welcome to the Game indie game. So I'm really excited to work on that.
Yeah, did you see Clint's chapter, the feature that he did? Just he released it like earlier this month, at the beginning of the month.
Yeah, I did. I watched his first Welcome to the Game, like when I booked the role with him.
Oh, the
I'm
40
really
minute, right? It's like a 40-minute short or whatever. That
Yeah,
first one.
I'm really impressed with how much his production quality has improved like over the years. That's why I'm excited to work with him, even like after all this time, because a lot of people said, okay, that's not going to go anywhere. You should just tell him no. I'm like, no, I gave him my word. I'd work on this. So, if it happens, I'm there. And sure enough, I think he's onto something. Like he's been improving the quality of his production. He's taking things seriously. He's doing things in a way to make sure people in production are getting paid. He's making sure the story is told in the right medium. I'm really happy that he went to episodic because the original script was pretty decent, but it was a little too much in areas. Like it needed
Some
to
room
get
to
fleshed
breathe.
out a little
Right.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it needs a breather here and then it needs to be fleshed out here. So I think episodic for the ensemble he's planning, I think that's a really good idea. And that's why like I'm going to be working on this, even if it gets delayed again. Like I think he's doing all the right moves to make this the best possible production.
Yeah, no, he's pretty awesome to work with too. And I had him on set with us for when we
Yeah,
filmed at the
I
end of November.
remember
Yeah.
having
So
those boys playing with those.
yeah, playing with the guns.
Yeah.
But no, he's really great, I think, at what he does. And Welcome to the Game, Clint's chapter, I can't praise it enough for just like you said, its production value. Um you watch it like on a nice TV on 4K through YouTube, or
That's yeah.
Blu-rays are
I was
coming out.
watching it. I was watching it on my like regular like the same TV I watch like all my favorite movies on, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is looking pretty damn good,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. So that's awesome. Yeah, I think you'll be a great addition to that. I did read the script for Scrutinized. Or it's kind of a script, right? Wasn't it more of like a was it a script, or was it more of like a collection of like ideas and how it's going to go?
I think at one point we did have a script, and then after that, he announced that he was rewriting some stuff, reorganizing some stuff. We had a bit of a delay. Like I said, it's been 4 to 5 years since I got initially booked for the role. So a
Right.
lot
Yeah.
has, I don't know how much of the original script is going to be like the final product. All I know is that the vision he has for this specific production is pretty solid. It kind of reminds me of Riverdale, of a bits and pieces of American Horror Story. I think episodic is the way to go.
Yeah, I definitely and with this transition with media into streaming and all that, I think that there's value to be added when you have something episodic. I think that
Yeah.
providing essentially these bite-sized chunks for audiences and using that time, so you're providing the audience with like a bite-sized chunk of your project, but because of that, you're able to do a bunch of them. So you're really
Mhm.
getting more time than just a normal movie, but you're spreading
Well,
it out enough where it's easily
also, with the
digestible.
fact that this is a video game adaptation, I'm really excited to be working on something like this because it's such a good time. Both of the Fallout's TV series being as good as that is, God of War, which is going to be on the way. Markiplier just dropped Iron
Yep,
Lung.
I'm gonna see that this weekend. I'm so
dude, I'm
excited.
so
Yeah,
excited for that, man.
yeah.
uh, I might actually be donating blood for that because I know he's
Are they
trying to.
doing it around here? Because I saw that they have blood drives like all over the country for it.
I want to see if my local theater that's like a mile away from me is doing anything for like blood
Yeah.
drives with that because I am like I used to give a lot of blood and I kind of been wanting to do that again anyway. So, knock out two birds with one stone. I don't know if you got a coupon for me for donating blood. You don't need to give me no money, but I'll give you some blood if you let me watch this movie.
Yeah, right. I think it's a fair trade-off. It's also a very good marketing thing, honestly. I think
Yeah,
that's clever as hell. But the fascinating thing to get on a tiny tangent here about Iron Lung, I just love that it's a 2-hour movie where I know there's more cast in it, and Troy Baker, I recently found out's in it. But it's mostly like Markiplier, like it's
hmm
just him, and the fact that it's going to be nationwide. When it was first announced, the trailer first dropped, it was only going to be in 60 theaters.
yeah.
And with how much it blew up,
I'm really excited to watch Markiplier's performance in it. Because um, working on both Wits End and Bedrot, like that kind of seems like what Markiplier's going for. It's going to be like really up to him to carry the performance. And I watch a lot of his gaming stuff and whatnot, but he is a phenomenal actor. He
yeah.
has some acting chops.
And he's got a
I
great
am.
voice too. His
He's
voice is
got a
incredible.
wonderful voice. His voice is silky smooth.
Yeah.
He's never smoked.
Markiplier.
He's never smoked a cigarette in his life.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought up Wits End and Bedrot because those were two, really great performances of yours. And like kind of like what you're saying, I mean, you are for the most part the singular element of both of those. It's very much the Samuel show in terms of just characters in those projects, especially Bedrot.
Bedrot, yeah, we focused it on John, but we didn't want to. We wanted John to be as I don't know if I want to say unsympathetic because you want to
Right.
sympathize with him. You want him to carry his own tragedy. You don't want him to fail. You want to see him succeed in the end. You just want to see him get out of the bed, but you're also not feeling completely sorry for him.
Right.
We
Yeah.
wanted to make that a very, we wanted perception on him to be very complex, which
Absolutely.
I hope it came out to be.
Yeah, no, I definitely think what you were going for was it was effective, and I think you hit it where you wanted to hit it. And Wits End, are there? That was the first one I watched of yours actually, but
There
were
was
there
another
other
actor
cast
in
in it?
Wits End.
Okay, there it was.
He was the guy who brought me on stage, and then he turned out to be actually a homeless guy outside, and I steal a cigarette from him. I take it right out of his mouth, put it through the bag, and smoke it.
Yeah.
And I give him my fucking used clothes. And he's just there like, oh, thanks, asshole. That was my last cigarette. I already got clothes. They're dirty. I don't have a laundromat. What am I going to do with this shit?
Right.
Oh, I also steal his bike, I think.
Really?
Yeah. I don't even ride it.
You just steal it.
No, I just steal it and I'm running alongside it in the moonlight.
That's awesome. But yeah, awesome. I am very happy to have you join me today.
Thank you, man. The pleasure was all mine. I really enjoyed just shooting the shit about King Kong. And sorry, is it okay if I swear on here? I guess it's a little too late to ask.
I was swearing earlier. I dropped a couple F-bombs early on, so yeah, no, it doesn't matter. I'm good with it.
Gotcha. I just should have been a little more aware of it. But yeah, the pleasure was all mine. I really liked talking about King Kong and other movies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I look forward to your projects that you've got coming up. I
Yeah.
also look forward to working with you again because, I had a really great time working with you on our one project. And
we do have something we are working on,
Yeah.
and I'm really excited for that. Uh, Actually, are you okay if I send the script of that over to Cassidy? I know we just had that first draft, but
Uh,
she
I
wanted.
I updated it, so
Oh, that would be
I added
perfect
it's just a very small thing in the beginning, but I'll update that and I'll send that to you. Yeah.
for sure. Because I was reviewing some of her stuff. She wanted to. I asked if she'd like to read it.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, I'm good with it.
All right,
Um,
cool.
it's also funny to know is I think all my short scripts that I write, they're all like first draft for the most part. Like I'm a sprinter, like because it's a funny story about Volatile because Diego, my buddy who helped us on Volatile, when I told him I had this idea. And he was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." Then, like the next day or so, I'm like, "Oh, do you want to read the script?" And he's like, "Already?"
There's
I'm like,
yeah,
"Yeah."
no, there's a script I wrote like a couple months ago that's now getting into a second draft, but it's a huge like derivation of the original. So
Right. Yeah, it's just with shorts, I'm always like I always write I try to write to film so I don't dwell as much on getting draft and draft and draft. I write to film and I just try to like all right, let's get this shit made. You know what I mean?
yeah, if we learned anything about our talk today, it's be more like Marion Cooper.
Yeah.
Just find
Fuck
the
it.
meat first, build the rest of the sandwich from there.
Yeah.
Write a film about a monkey breaking shit down.
Yeah, there's something scrappy about that, and I love that. That's like
Yeah.
I love that kind of filmmaking, like that, the scrappiness, the guerrilla, like no pun
Yeah.
intended, but the guerrilla filmmaking of it. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'll send that over to you, and um, I really appreciate you coming on here, man. This was a blast.
Thanks for having me, man.